Welcome back to episode 2. Today, Paul and I will be test driving Soapbox. So stay tuned as we run through some use cases, and Paul's going to show us some demos. So what are we going to do today, Paul?
So today we're going to look at a day in the life of a major incident.
Right.
So, a major incident is a common issue that exists within any service desk. It's a situation where something breaks and that has major disruption to an
Something's
organization.
really gone wrong.
Yeah, that's right.
Red, 5 alarm bell, everyone's running around.
And it could be in IT, could be in HR, could be anywhere in any of the service functions within an organization. But the consistent challenge that organizations have in dealing with major incidents is communication. How do I know it's happened? How do I communicate to my service agents that something's gone wrong?
Mm-hmm.
How do I communicate with my customers that something has gone wrong, so I don't get this deluge of calls coming into the organisation that I spend all my time, my service desk time, managing those calls, right? Oh, this is what's happening, here's the workaround, this is what's happening, here's the workaround.
So multiple people reporting the same incident.
That's right, that's right. That's typically what happens, right? When the light goes out or the power goes out somewhere, and all these calls start coming in and the service desk gets flooded. So how can we deflect those calls, provide communication and awareness and expectations around what we're doing to fix it, so we can actually focus on our staff's time on fixing the issue rather than just telling people there is an issue.
Right.
So we're going to walk through that scenario today and how Soapbox handles that.
Fantastic, show me.
So let's look at a day of the life of a major incident. So the first thing we'll look at briefly is just the interface of Soapbox. You can see here that we've got a menu down the left-hand side with all the applications that this user has access to. I'm the administrator logged in at the moment, so I have access to all the administrator functions and all the applications. But as an agent or a service agent working on either the IT desk or the HR desk, you'd probably only have access to your queues and the applications that you work in. A couple of things I just want to point out that we're going to be focused on or looking at in this demo is our knowledge management application, which is where we communicate and drive all the activity around a major incident as far as communication, making people aware, agents and customers that there's an issue going on. The interaction, which is the place where we take the initial call, and then also within our ITCM application, the incident and the major incident process that we'll look at. So we're just going to take it from a point of view of how do we log a major incident, how do we then go and capture additional incidents coming in to make sure that process is far more streamlined. So let's have a look at an incoming call with, let's say, Desmond, and he's got an issue where he cannot connect to the VPN.
All right, that's a relatively major incident.
Major issue. Sophie's popping up and providing recommendations that this is likely to be an incident. So let's go ahead and classify that as the first step. And this basically takes us from an interaction to an incident. Now at this stage we haven't identified it's a major incident, but maybe through the investigation we identify that it is. You can see what Sophie's done on the left hand side here is she's already classified this incident as a VPN connectivity issue against the network services service and assigned it to the infrastructure support team. And it's done that through having previously seen similar types of issues with connectivity issues and against the VPN. So that was all done automatically through Sophie's learning. What we're going to do now is we're going to escalate this as a major incident because we believe there's going to be additional people calling in about this issue. So we want to start to manage this as a major incident. So all we do is we click on major incident. It just confirms, do we want to make this a major incident? Yes, we do. And then we can provide some additional information. And I've just prepared this earlier. No, I haven't. Let's say we've reviewed it and we want to state there's a VPN outage. We are working to resolve, and maybe you might say switch over to your mobile data or something. What's the workaround, right? And so this is the thing that's going to be communicated out to to people when they identify that there's a major
Right, okay.
there's a major incident, there's an outage.
So there's a bit of automation there already, isn't it? But
That's right.
the beginnings of that. Yeah.
Let's just make it a major incident manager. And the first thing we want to do is we want to create a major incident knowledge article. So this is the thing that is then going to alert other agents and also customers as they come in through self-service, there's a major incident. And as you can see, we've taken the title, prefixed it with major incident, and we've taken the information we already put into the major incident review, and we've populated that into a knowledge article. If we publish that article, now that's instantly being created, that awareness for anybody else coming into the that logging this type of issue, be it coming in through the service desk or in here. So let's just go through that process again. So let's now look at another call coming into the service desk, and let's assume this time it's an agent that is taking this call has never seen this issue before.
Right.
So let's say the person calling in this time is John Locke. Similar issue, maybe said slightly differently. Say maybe I can't access the VPN. You can see we've again predicted it's an incident this time. Let's see, there's that major incident. So we're now informing this new agent who's not aware that there's an ongoing issue that we need to be aware of, that there is one. So we can easily just attach that knowledge article to the interaction, and that's when we save this is going to send that email out to
John,
to John, saying, hey, this is the workaround, this is what you can do about it. And as we classify this interaction now, what it's going to do is create an incident. It's going to relate this incident to the major incident, and therefore whenever if I want to communicate an update to all those people logging calls around this major incident, then I just communicate. I do that once on the major incident record.
And everyone who's attached to this incident will get a correspondence.
That's right. So here's that major. There's the incident I've just logged. It's incident 56. It's related to this major incident. If I wanted to go and have a look at that, let's say there's that major incident there. I can see the related incidents under the screen, under this tab, and there's my major incidents down there, albeit one. But if I wanted to communicate some outage, some update to this, I can just update this field and it will update all the related incidents. We're still working on it. Something useful like that. And now if I go and have a look at that major the related incident, you can see that the comments field should be updated on that record. There it is there.
Right.
Similarly, if I then go and close that major incident, so if I go back in here and...
So the VPN is fixed.
So let's assume the major incident is fixed, and typically what you might do is you might go and do some problem investigation, create a problem record, maybe create a change to implement a fix to that issue to resolve it. But let's just bypass that process for the moment, and let's say that we're now going to progress this major incident through its life cycle. And so we say like set to resolved. There's going to be some mandatory fields that need to fill out, probably under here as well, resolved issue. I think that's all the major fields we need to complete. And what that's done is that's now marked it as resolved. If I have a look at the major incident, the related incident, that incident is also resolved. And if I move this to closed, set to closed, you will also notice if I go and have a look at that knowledge article now, if I can, it's now been moved to archive. I'm just going to demonstrate it by having another look at this. And you see that major incident, that knowledge article is no longer there.
Right.
So what we do is, we have an end-to-end process of creating a major incident, creating the knowledge article easily so people are aware of it, be able to manage the communication by having that kind of related information, update once on the major incident and then communicate out to everyone who's logged an incident. And then when I've closed that, closes all the incidents, it sends emails out or notifications out to customers, and then ultimately closes the knowledge article because it's no longer relevant anymore.
Right. So it essentially ties up all your loose ends without you having to think about it.
Yeah, that's right. And what I hope we've shown you through this process is that these are standard iTool service management disciplines, but it's tightly integrated out of the box. What I'm showing you is completely out of the box, no configuration required, and how we're using AI and our automation to drive those processes and get a better outcome for customers.
That was really impressive, Paul. So what's the next use case?
So the next area we're going to look at is automating repetitive tasks. Our research has shown that the vast majority of tasks that come into a service desk are repetitive tasks that in theory could be manual or automatically executed rather than relying on people to manually do that. If we can do that, that frees up staff time to work on more valuable activities.
Yeah, so what's the kind of repetitive tasks? These are the little run-of-the-mill daily things that people deal with.
Yeah, they're like password resets, or the example we're going to show today is getting maybe Wi-Fi access.
Oh, that's a big one. Everyone runs around asking, what's the password, what's the password?
Yeah, that's right. And these are things that systems are typically automating anyway in the back end. But so if we can connect or bridge the gap between a customer asking for something and the system automating something, that's the goal.
So that a human doesn't have to touch. Well, show me.
Yeah, let's have a look. Right, so let's have a look at a couple of examples. The first one we're going to look at is Wi-Fi guest access. So here we are on a Soapbox portal, and we might have a customer ask something like guest Wi-Fi access.
Right.
And Sophie, the virtual agent, pops up, and understands that we're looking for a new Wi-Fi access for a guest. In this case, there's a unique code that we provision for the time period that the guest needs access for.
Okay.
So the first thing Sophie does is just confirm that that's what we're looking for. Yes, it is, and we can just type something like yep. And then it's going to collect the information from us to provision this request. So let's say, okay, who are you? Who is it for? It's for me, Paul Heath. What date? I can either click on these little suggestion boxes, or I could just type in let's say it's the 23rd of the 4th. I need that. And how long do I need it for? A week. Just confirming you would like a guest Wi-Fi access account for Paul Heath, active from the 23rd of April to the 30th of April. Is that right? Yes, it is. So what Sophie's doing now is going and picking up one of our intelligent actions, which we'll show you in a second, what that looks like from an agent perspective, and running an automation to provision that code. And then we have the Wi-Fi access, the SSID is global, and here's the passcode. So that's a simple example of how we can deflect a call from ever going into the service desk by capturing those requirements through natural language, through a conversational interface, and then picking up that, this is a Wi-Fi access request, grabbing that intelligent action, and then executing that. And that was done in, how long did that take? 30 seconds as opposed to maybe 30 minutes.
Well, that's really impressive because the service desk didn't have to call IT to provision for the person and back and forth and stuff like that. It was just done.
Exactly, and as we say, Soapbox is all about getting work done faster and getting the business back to business faster. So let's have a look at another perspective, or automating tasks from another perspective. And let's say someone's coming in with an SAP password reset issue. So this is simulating a caller. So I'm a service desk operator taking a call. Let's say, who is it for? It's for who have we got in here? Eric, the employee. And we're saying there's a SAP session logged. Sophie's already recommended that there's an incident. She's also shown that relevant knowledge. In this particular case, I'm going to say I'm not going to use that knowledge. I'm just going to go and classify this, and it creates an incident for me. And I want to show you how we've got an automated action to reset that SAP session. So if I have a look at my work activity, I've got this area called actions. And on the right-hand side, Sophie's recommending a number of these intelligent actions to fire. Now, if I'd configured this to automatically fire, they would have automatically fired, but in this demo, I'm just providing the suggestion to the agent that they should fire these particular actions. So let's fire that one, which is checking the SAP session, and it is locked, so we can then fire the unlock SAP session, and it unlocks that session. Now, obviously, if we do that enough times, we would automatically start to learn that behaviour, increase the tolerance or the threshold, and then I can go as my self-service user, go into the portal like we did before and have that action automatically fire, just like we did for the
and then
Wi-Fi access.
bypassing the agent completely.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And what we'll show you in another session is how we can automatically resolve that call on first contact by either firing that action or applying that knowledge article, and it bypasses the assignment of the record to a second level person altogether.
That looks really impressive, Paul. But how are those actions created?
So those actions are created by the administrator. We ship a whole lot of out-of-the-box actions depending on the areas. Like we ship a whole lot of Workday actions and a whole lot of AD, PowerShell type actions. But if you have access to a automation tool like a MuleSoft or a Node-RED, then we're able to tap into your automation tools and just fire those actions from this interface. And the key thing that we're doing here is automatically learning which actions should be applied under which situation. By firing those actions, we're adding to the weighting. So next time we ran one of these, we would see these predictions increase in confidence. So it's really what we're doing is giving you the ability to easily create the actions, but also be able to predict those to fire when it makes sense.
That's great, Paul. What's next?
So the next thing we're going to look at is how to use predictive knowledge and actions to increase first contact resolution. First contact resolution is important because the deeper you go into an organisation to resolve an issue, the more it costs, and the longer it takes. So if we can furnish information up front to help agents resolve issues faster, then that's great.
Great. Why don't you show us how to nip it in the bud?
Sure, let's have a look. So here we are on our interaction again. Once again, we start with an interaction because in a multi-discipline support organisation where I may be dealing with HR and facilities and IT issues, you want to be able to have the ability to route calls appropriately. So let's start off with John Locke calling in again. And this time John Locke has got an issue with their Salesforce password. So let's say Salesforce, let's say reset my Salesforce password. And we've identified that this is an ITSM request. We've also identified that there's some potential knowledge that could be useful. This knowledge, by the way, could be coming from Soapbox, not the Soapbox knowledge repository, or it could be coming from SharePoint or Confluence. We have the ability to kind of what's called federate knowledge and basically bring that knowledge from other repositories and make it available to agents on the desk. So let's say this one is pretty useful at the moment. So let's attach that and put a resolution saying we provided knowledge article, and all we need to do is, we probably should spell that correctly, and resolve that interaction. And what that's doing is it's creating an ITSM request, it's marked it as resolved, it's sent an email with that knowledge contents off to John Locke, and we can go and have a look at that to satisfy ourselves what's happened as a result of that request being logged. And you can see that it's automatically been classified by Sophie as a password reset against Salesforce. It would have been assigned to the Salesforce team if we hadn't resolved it on first contact, and we've resolved it using that knowledge. So by attaching that knowledge to that request and capturing, we do a couple of things. We record the fact that there was a request, how it was resolved using the knowledge article. So next time we get a similar request coming in, the confidence of that knowledge article being the right one to solve that issue increases. So the system's learning the more agents engage with the system. And if we have a look at another example, maybe this time from a self-service point of view, let's say I need my SAP, SAP session is locked. I understand correctly your SAP session is locked, so this is something that Sophie knows about? Yes, it is. Let me search my knowledge base and see if I find anything that's useful. Once again, that knowledge could be used, and if we say yes, that solved the problem, we'll just go and create that record
Right.
and resolve that directly. So let's go and do that. Did this solve it? It's creating a ticket in the system just for reporting purposes more than anything else. We went to have a look at that incident, or that would have been an incident in this case. Then we would have seen that's resolved. It was resolved by that knowledge article, and it was recorded and resolved by the virtual agent.
Right. So that's a mechanism for weighting that article.
Oh, that also adds weighting to the article as well. So every time we have a situation where that knowledge article or an action is used to resolve an issue, we're adding weight to that.
Okay. So the more people use, the more these things are touched on, the more Soapbox learns, and the quicker it predicts the next time.
That's right. So here you can see we've logged an incident on behalf of the user, and this is really just for reporting purposes and tracking purposes. That if we have a look at this incident, you can see it's marked as resolved. And the argument here is that because the virtual agent solved it by providing a knowledge article, doesn't mean there was never an issue to start with. So the idea is, let's create the incident, let's mark it as resolved, let's highlight that it's being resolved by the virtual agent using that knowledge article, because that's all good for reporting. Right. How do we track our success of self-service and our success of our automation is by capturing every issue that comes in, and not ignoring it, which is what typically happens in most systems. People don't have the ability to really track what's going on.
Right. So that skews their data in a negative sort of way.
That's right. So a key thing that we deliver for our customers is the ability to track how well the system and the investments they're making in self-service and knowledge articles, in automation, so they can demonstrate that back to the business.
Okay, so we've done 3 demos with ITSM issues. What about in other parts of the business? How does Soapbox help there?
Yeah, so as we mentioned up front, HR is a standard application within the system. So let's have a look at how an HR case might work. As we said up front, HR is just another application in the system, leverages the underlying intelligent capabilities and workflow capabilities of the platform. And in fact, it's just an example of any custom application you could build on the platform, leveraging those underlying platform capabilities. So as you can see here, we've got an HR human resources module, we've got cases and tasks. We've got a knowledge base that's specifically associated to HR, and once again, we can either go directly into an HR case record and go and create a new one and start working on this case, or if you're in a situation where you've got a consolidated service desk and that service desk function is taking HR calls as well as IT calls, it's a classic example of a challenge that that person who's on the desk that takes that call may not know about HR. So how can Sophie help with that? So let's take a scenario where someone's asking about their leave balance or what their unpaid leave policy may be. Okay. So let's say this person is, who have we got here?
Does John have an issue in this one? No.
Let's say it's Hurley this time. Right. Because I'm sick of using John. And let's say he's inquiring about his leave balance. What is my unpaid, if I could spell, unpaid leave balance. And you can see what's happening here is Sophie's identified this is an HR case. We're also popping up with some potential knowledge articles that might be useful. As our leave without pay policy. But in this case, let's say, look, this is nothing that the service agent on the service desk can handle, so they're going to go ahead and classify that, which will create an HR case and assign that to the HR, whoever the appropriate team is. In this particular case, based on the description, the system's popped up and said, oh, this looks like a leave management leave request application that's related to the HR payroll system, and let's assign that to the HR service desk team.
Right.
So they also have access to knowledge. There's similar knowledge there, although they may have different knowledge. And you can see there's some IT related stuff in there because it might be relevant for them, but we can also segregate that knowledge out. So only certain groups have access to certain knowledge. And obviously HR, there's a lot of sensitive things in HR that you wouldn't give to the IT teams.
Yep.
But we're also providing some intelligent action recommendations. So if we have a look at our activity over here, nothing's been fired, but with high confidence, 99% certainty, then this action might be useful in this particular case. So let's go and fire that. And you can see that action went off in this case, into Workday, and said and grabbed Hurley's leave balance from
Right.
Workday.
Yep.
So the ability to go out there and kick off those actions. Obviously, we could have that fired directly from self-service or even from the service desk. So
Yep.
if it was authorised for the service desk to be able to fire those actions, we could fire it at that level as well.
Yep.
And that might be all that's required. We can go and set that to complete and move on to the next task.
Well, that's another first contact resolved.
Exactly, and whether or not that was done at the service desk or done at the second level, it's
Yep.
still fundamentally that first contact resolution, and we're using automation and knowledge to drive the resolution of those issues faster than without that.
Wow. That's amazing, Paul. But what happens when there's a first-time request that Sophie or Soapbox has never seen before?
Yeah, so there's a first time for everything, Mark, and same thing in Soapbox. One of the key things that we do differently is than most AI systems in general is the ability to learn off very low levels of data. In fact, the minimum we need to see is about 3 or 4 records of looking similar before we'll start to predict. Okay, so let's have a look at that in action. So let's start with our interaction again. Let's record this against Hurley. And this time we're saying, oh, look, there's a VPN not working. We can see there's no prediction. We're not quite sure, Sophie's not quite sure what this is. We're going to make this an an incident. Let's classify that. And what we're trying to identify is, or teach Sophie, is that there's an action that can be fired that would resolve this issue. And the action I want to fire is the VPN restart. You can see there's no prediction like we've seen in the past because Sophie hasn't learnt that yet.
Right.
But if we execute that, we're now starting that learning process. The best way to simulate this learning is just to go and copy this record and fire that action every time we copy that record.
Right. So we're simulating multiple resolutions.
Well, it's simulating multiple calls coming in and resolutions, exactly. So let's say the VPN is not working again. I'll restart VPN. And it's as simple as, so we're not configuring anything, we're just really going through our day-to-day activity, and the more we do something, the more intelligent Sophie becomes around that issue. So let's go and create another one.
It's almost like a reinforcement learning method, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And then, in fact, there you go, you've got the prediction already happening there, so we can execute that. So that took, 2 or 3 times? And Sophie's now kind of learnt that that's the action to fire.
Right.
Now, if we can go and configure that action to automatically fire based on a certain threshold. So if someone put that in, that type of description in from the self-service portal, we could automatically fire that action as well and restart it without even coming into the service desk.
So that's self-learning, that's shifting left, it's automation, all in one neat little demonstration.
Exactly, without any configuration required, without any data scientists, AI expertise, the system's literally observing how an operator would go about their work and then learning from that and then providing advice and assistance to other operators and ultimately automating that to the self-service.
That's a really powerful demonstration there, Paul.
Thanks, Mark.
And we've come to the end of episode 2. In this episode, we've covered quite a few things through the demos. You can see the power of Soapbox and how that can change your organization. And if that's something you want, head down to the website, soapbox.ai, and fill in the demo form. Or else you can get in touch with Paul.
That's right, just send me an email on paul.heath@soapbox.ai and we're more than happy to have a chat to you about how Soapbox could work in your environment.
Fantastic. We'll see you next time.